Read the news, I mean, there's a lot of attorneys who've gotten into trouble for all kinds of horrible stuff. Why is it that we're saying, oh, we can trust an attorney with this information, but we can't trust the client, the party who has not had these problems inherent? It's not like the judge is watching every email and phone call that goes on between counsel. So there's a lot of, kind of things that happen before it percolates up to the judge. Like I said, I don't really think it's an exchange of money thing that's going to work here. It's really going to be getting Justin's reputation restored without Blake completely admitting that she lied.
The ongoing legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is a complex saga filled with drama, confusion, and high stakes. The recent filing of a protective order by Blake adds another layer of complexity to an already intricate situation. As the case unfolds, the involvement of qualified legal counsel intensifies the stakes, particularly for Justin, who finds himself navigating a challenging landscape. Blake's legal strategy appears to hinge on designating every piece of information she submits to the court as sensitive. This tactic, however, may not be as effective as she hopes. The tug of war over what constitutes confidential information is likely to lead to a protracted back and forth between both parties, resulting in delays and additional legal wrangling. Such disputes can complicate the legal process, making it even more cumbersome for both sides. From a legal perspective, the attorney believes that only specific categories of information, such as medical records, should be classified as sensitive.
Well, who's going to decide this when it's turning it over? So when Blake says, oh, all of my text messages are, of course, highly personal and intimate, so therefore I'm designating them as such, and here's the kicker, attorney eyes only.
However, Blake's insistence on labeling all her communications as attorney's eyes only creates significant challenges for Justin. This designation means that even his own legal team cannot share certain information with him, leaving him in the dark about critical details being presented in court. This imbalance raises serious concerns about the fairness of the proceedings, as one side can dictate what is too sensitive to share, while the other is left without the necessary information to mount an effective defense. The attorney's eyes-only order effectively ties Justin's hands, complicating the attorney-client relationship. In typical legal scenarios, lawyers collaborate closely with their clients to strategize and respond to claims. However, if Justin's lawyers cannot share vital information with him, how can he adequately prepare his defense? This situation creates a significant hurdle for Justin, as he is left without the insights he needs to counter Blake's claims effectively. Moreover, the reliance on legal counsel in this context raises questions about trust.
Well, who's going to decide this when it's turning it over? So when Blake says, oh, all of my text messages are, of course, highly personal and intimate, so therefore I'm designating them as such, and here's the kicker, attorney eyes only.
Lawyers are not infallible. There have been numerous instances where attorneys have mishandled information or acted in their own interests rather than those of their clients. With the attorney's eyes-only designation in play, Justin is forced to rely entirely on his lawyer's judgment, which can lead to unchecked power dynamics. If a lawyer misinterprets evidence or overlooks critical details, Justin has no way of knowing, leaving him vulnerable in his own case. Despite the frustration surrounding the attorney's eyes-only order, both parties will need to find a way to navigate this legal maze. Legal battles are often fraught with roadblocks, and while this particular issue adds complexity, it is not insurmountable. Blake may attempt to label everything as attorney's eyes only, making it increasingly difficult for Justin to respond. However, the judge overseeing the case has the authority to intervene if he believes Blake is overstepping her bounds. If the judge perceives that Blake is using the protective order to shield information unnecessarily, he can call her out on it. In the long run, Blake may try to prolong the case, a common tactic in legal disputes. The longer Justin's team spends fighting for access to information, the more challenging it becomes for him to mount a proper defense. This strategy can create a frustrating cycle where one side seeks to delay proceedings while the other scrambles to keep up. In high-profile cases like this, the judge's power is inherently limited. He is not monitoring every move made by Blake and Justin. He only intervenes when necessary. The back and forth between their legal teams can lead to significant delays, with each side attempting to exploit the situation to their advantage. By the time the judge becomes involved, the situation may have already devolved into chaos. Public perception plays a crucial role in this case as well. Justin seems to have the upper hand in the court of public opinion, with many people siding with his narrative. This can exert pressure on Blake, especially if she is perceived as the one dragging things out or being overly secretive.
Like I said, I don't really think it's an exchange of money thing that's going to work here. It's really going to be getting Justin's reputation restored without Blake completely admitting that she lied.
If public sentiment continues to favor Justin, it could complicate Blake's position further, forcing her to reconsider her strategy. Blake initiated this situation, and as the pressure mounts, she may be weighing her options for a way out. She might be looking for a quiet settlement or trying to find a way to minimize the damage to her reputation. However, once a case like this gains traction, walking away without consequences becomes increasingly difficult. Settling is often the goal in legal disputes, but in this case, it may not happen easily. Justin has a reputation to protect and may not want to settle quietly, as doing so could be perceived as conceding defeat. He is likely to demand something substantial, such as a public acknowledgement or retraction from Blake, to clear his name and restore his reputation. From the lawyer's perspective, advising Blake would likely involve crafting a statement that acknowledges her feelings without admitting wrongdoing. This approach could help de-escalate the situation and allow both parties to move forward. Acknowledging Justin's perspective, even in a limited way, could help both sides find common ground and facilitate a resolution. The complexities of this case extend beyond mere legal arguments. They delve into personal dynamics, workplace ethics, and the broader implications of their actions. Blake's allegations against Justin raise serious questions about workplace boundaries and professional conduct. If her claims are substantiated, they suggest a troubling pattern of behavior that transcends a simple disagreement on set. However, if Justin believes these allegations are unfounded, he will undoubtedly fight back vigorously, as the stakes are high for both parties. The narrative surrounding Blake's accusations is further complicated by inconsistencies in her statements. For instance, if she claims that Justin was flirting with her while simultaneously stating that he made her feel unattractive.
Read the news, there's a lot of attorneys who've gotten into trouble for all kinds of horrible stuff. Why is it that we're saying, we can trust an attorney with this information, but we can't trust the client, the party who has not had these problems with?
It raises questions about the coherence of her story. Emotions can cloud perceptions, and it is possible that Blake's feelings about Justin's behavior shifted over time, leading to conflicting narratives. Additionally, there are concerns regarding Blake's professionalism during the project. Allegations that she did not adequately prepare for her role could suggest that some of the tension between her and Justin stemmed from misunderstandings rather than malicious intent. If she was unprepared, it raises questions about her credibility and the validity of her claims against Justin. As the case progresses, it becomes increasingly evident that both Blake and Justin have much to lose. Justin's reputation has already been tarnished, and any allegations against him can have lasting repercussions. In contrast, while Blake may face public scrutiny, she is less likely to suffer significant professional consequences. This disparity in potential fallout adds another layer of complexity to the situation. Ultimately, the ongoing legal battle is a complex interplay of personal and professional dynamics, with both parties navigating a challenging landscape. Blake's desire for control over the project and her subsequent actions may have contributed to the current conflict, while Justin's need to protect his reputation drives his response. The legal battle is not merely about the facts, it is also about perception, strategy, and the long-term implications for both individuals involved. As the case unfolds, the potential for resolution hinges on both parties' willingness to engage in meaningful dialogue. If they can find a way to address their grievances without escalating the conflict further, there may be a path forward that allows them to move on from this tumultuous chapter. However, if they remain entrenched in their positions, the legal wrangling could continue indefinitely, with both sides suffering the consequences of a protracted battle. In the end, the outcome will likely depend on how effectively each party can manage their narrative and the public's perception of the situation. The stakes are high, and the implications of their actions will resonate beyond the courtroom, affecting their careers and personal lives for years to come. The legal system may provide a framework for resolution, but the emotional and reputational toll of this conflict will linger long after the final verdict is rendered.